Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look out, buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
You know, I was thinking over the break, Eric. I made myself hungry by saying we're going to go to Blue Top and get a burger. Did I ever tell you the first time I had John Golfus on my radio show?
No.
It seems like a million years ago. But he had the car hops come skating in the studio with burgers on trays. And the preacher, my buddy the preacher, and I we ate like kings that day, man. That's all we did was eat. The rest, it was a Saturday morning. We ate like swine. Oh, my God.
How'd you guys do the show?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we waited until after the show. No, I won't eat on the air. No, I know some people that do that. I know a couple people that do that, and it's just not right.
No.
That or drink on the air. I could smoke a cigar if Rick would let me, but you never know. I might talk him into it. I might get him over a barrel, maybe have him one too many eggnogs at the company Christmas party, and he'll say, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Might as well, right?
Or I can buy him that Bentley he's always wanted. You know. I don't think I could do that.
He has so many cars for
I know, he's got too many cars. Plus, he puts too many miles on it. Can you imagine him having a $500,000 car and putting 10,000 miles a week on it? That ain't right. You're supposed to drive that a little bit, not a lot. No. He would drive it way too much. He would ruin it. Put 500,000 miles on a Jeep. He could put 500,000 miles on a Bentley. Oh, my God, or Rolls. Anyway, let's get back to this car business stuff we're talking about. I'm talking about food, and I get myself all worked up. I love that Big Ben burger. Okay, we talked about this early on, and now there's been some changes made, and the UAW is still being watched. Of course, they're in like a receiver thing. They have a babysitter, in other words. U.S. District Judge David Lawson on Tuesday approved the results of last year's UAW referendum vote, in which members opted for a more direct say in how they elect union leaders. Here we go. The rank and file has said, that's enough. We're going back to being a union. The Office of Court-Appointed Monitor Neil Barofsky announced in early December that nearly 64% of the 140,000 votes cast were in favor of adopting a one-member, one-vote system for electing officers, while 36% voted in favor of retaining the current delegate-based system. That's just not right. That's how you end up with these crooks. And I can say crooks because they went to jail, so I'm not making it up. Under the terms of the union's 6-year consent decree with the federal government, yeah, baby, the results had to be approved by a judge before changes could be implemented. They can't do anything on their own now. The UAW is under the thumb of the federal government because of what happened. What do we call that? We called that Union Gate or something. Lawson on Tuesday ordered the union change its constitution and implement the new voting system by June 30th, ahead of a July convention where members will gather to elect a president and other executive board members. This is perfect, guys. This is what had to happen. This is what had to come out of that whole thing where the union, where they were just bribery gate and they were just taking bribes and they were selling out. I mean, they were selling out to the car manufacturers and ended up getting cabins in Michigan over it and golf clubs and trips and boats. And that's over with. The boys are going back to work. The union is going to rise again. And I like that. Now that's something I can wrap my teeth on. Worldwide used car prices in January were largely unchanged from December. Though far higher than a year earlier numbers, of course, a year ago, in another signal that the surge in the U.S. used vehicle prices has begun to level out. Maybe the used cars are going to be viable now. Cox Automotive, which is a huge entity, said Monday that its Mannheim Used Vehicle Index, they own Mannheim Auto Auctions, which tracks vehicles sold at Mannheim's U.S. auctions, rose just 0.04% in January compared with December. The January number, however, was 45% higher than January last year, which, okay, I understand. Those numbers were adjusted for mix, mileage, and seasonality, whatever that meant. What seasonality? January price patterns varied by vehicle, age, and segment, with older vehicles likely to see stabilizing prices and younger vehicles likely to see larger declines, according to Manheim. Average wholesale prices for a 3-year-old vehicle fell 2.9% for the full month, Cox reported. And that, my friends, is the start of going back to normal. That tells you it's going to go back to normal. And you want to know why it's going to go back to normal? Because we are rocking. There's a super chip thing coming up here. Here again, though, Ford cuts output at 8 plants. Ford Motor Company plans to suspend or cut production at 8 assembly plants in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada throughout the next week because of a microchip supply constraints. So, in other words, they're not turning it off permanently. They're cutting it off for a week or whatever, just to slow it down and keep some chips in stock. The plants produce some of Ford's biggest sellers and most popular vehicles, including the F-150, the Ranger, the Bronco, Explorer, and the Mustang Mach-E. Output at factories in Michigan, Chicago, that's over here, Cotitlán, Mexico, Hey, Eric, you got to say it. Will be suspended. In Kansas City, production of the F-150 pickup will be idled while one shift will run to build the Transit van. The company will also operate a single shift or a reduced schedule at factories in Dearborn, Kentucky, and Louisville, while eliminating overtime at the Oakville, Ontario, Canada plant. All the production changes will be in place during the week beginning February 7th. So they're cutting back. The Ford plant is cutting back. Cuautitlan. You take a look at it. You read it and you tell me. I can't say that word. That's a town in Mexico, and that's just, that's something for young people to do. That's not my cup of tea. Now, so you know, the U.S. House of Representatives passed on Friday a multi-billion-dollar bill aimed at increasing the American competitiveness with China and boosting U.S. semiconductor manufacturing despite opposition. Passage set up negotiations with the Senate on a compromise version of the legislation, which must pass both chambers before it can be sent to the White House. In other words, they are rocking and rolling the chip-making capabilities of our very own country, knock on wood. All right, how do we say it?
Cuautitlan.
Cuautitlan?
Titlan.
Cuautitlan. Okay. All right, well,
if I'm not mistaken, I think that's right in the center of Mexico City, or right by one of the cities in Mexico City. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me see if my math is correct.
Your math is correct.
Let me see.
Eric,
my math is correct.
Hey, at least you got the pronunciation of it right.
Yeah, it's just right outside of Mexico City. Oh, see, I was right. Any word with those names, little history lesson, anything with those names, those are kind of Aztec names. They're always around. Always around.
I see. That's an
Mexico
Aztec
City,
name?
Yeah, one of those.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're mainly known for those names like that around Mexico City.
There's been a lot of talk back and forth, and I want to ask my listeners and you people out there in radio land and social media land, been a lot of talk back and forth, and now, again, remember, this is strictly my opinion, has nothing to do with Gerard Media or any of the radio stations or poor Eric sitting over here. And he was just about ready to deny it himself. But there's a lot of talk about this whole chip thing. And they're just not, guys and people are talking, economists, they had Mary Barra from GM and several other people want to know, where did all the chips go?
Right.
Where are they? What happened to the manufacturing level, and was it legitimately down because of COVID, or what was? They want a report on what happened to cause this problem, because there's only been one loser. You're sure of that, right? You and I are the loser. The American consumer took it right on the chin. Nobody else, no other country, they have cars.
Right.
They have deals. They're not paying 3 times what they're worth. But in America, because we let them do it to us, we are paying through our nose. And that's being polite. I cleaned that up for Eric's because he had his finger on the dump button.
Gracias, boss. Gracias.
Here's what I'm talking about. Lexus 2025 electric vehicle sales set a record. In 2021. We're in 2022 now, and they're saying, oh my God, what a bad year it was last year with no chips. How did they set a record? Lexus racked up record sales of electrified vehicles last year as the brand pivots towards the all-electric future. Well, of course. But pure electric vehicles still account for only a smidgen of its results, underscoring just how far the Japanese premium player has gone on its radical electric vehicle makeover. Yeah, at one time they were big in hydrogen. Its global electrified sales rose 10% to an all-time high of 260,000 vehicles in 2021. But the brand's only electric battery offering, the UX300E, chipped in about 5,800 units. What I want to know, and I got to know, Lexus declared in December that by 2030, it will be an electric-only brand in Europe, the U.S., and China, selling 1 million electric vehicles a year by then. The brand aims to sell only full electric vehicles globally by 2035. What in the world? How did they set a record with no chips, Eric? Come on. Why does this happen? Well, let's see how this happens. Nissan doubles quarterly operating profit. What the? Nissan Motor Company's operating profit nearly doubled in the latest quarter as cost controls, better pricing power, of course, and lower incentives bolstered results despite the ongoing semiconductor crisis, prompting the automaker to lift its full-year profit outlook. Well, of course, they got it made. They're killing it. Nissan also bounded back to a quarterly net income of 32.7 million yen. That's about 284 million bucks, reversing a 37.8 billion yen net loss the year before, the automaker said in a statement. Well, you know what? I want to tell you something. Sales in Europe fell 18% to 90,000 vehicles, while the regional operating cost there slid 33% to 2 billion yen. So they cut costs, but they're having another company with a banner year. We've been talking about cars and chips, and are they really, or what is the story? What gives? Did you know that our Secretary of Commerce sent a request last year to every major chip maker in the world, asking them for a report on their chips, their sales, and where they were being shipped to, just to find out why and what happened. Well, I don't know, but I got a couple good ideas what happened here. And I told you 2 companies that had stellar years, and here's another one. Volvo Cars set records for a full year revenue and profitability despite posting fourth quarter earnings below expectations because of the semiconductor shortage and higher raw material prices. Well, no, everything's gone up, believe me. A shortage of everything. Shortage of everything except truckers. God bless those guys. In fourth quarter, operating profit fell 3.7 billion to Swedish crowns. What is with the crown? We got to have all this different money. What happened to euros? The Swedes don't use euros? Anyway, that's 3.7 billion crowns is 396 million from 4.9 billion a year before. Revenue fell 6% to 80.1 billion crowns in the quarter, and the company said in a statement. Anyway, the automaker's retail sales also decreased 20% to 168,000 in the quarter. But Volvo was able to offset the impact of that decline. We compensated for the volume drop with cost increases resulting from price and mixed improvements. Volvo Chief Financial Officer Bjorn Onwall told Automotive News Europe, overall we had a strong performance despite a very volatile environment. You call that volatile? Volvo apparently isn't in with the Lexuses and the Mazdas and the rest of them that have, and the Korean cars, the Hyundai and Kia, if he can keep them from catching fire. Doesn't seem to have all the dough or the chips that they want. I mean, they don't seem to have enough. But the other cars had their banner years, and the chairman of the our United States Commerce Commission wants to know, where are all these chips at? Did Intel not make as many because they had layoffs or they had people call off from COVID, or are these chips in China? China, you don't hear anything about COVID anymore. I don't see what's going. I don't even know if they even ever had it. But you can't ask them for a report on their chips and where they went, because the Chinese Communist Party would never lie to you, would they, Eric? No. Well, I'm just telling you, this whole chip thing has got our economy in a turmoil, because the automotive business is much more important than anybody wants to say. The automotive business, first of all, everybody has a car. Name me somebody you know that doesn't have a car. That's a rarity. Everybody has at least one car. Second of all, name me somebody that doesn't work in the automotive touched business or related. There's a lot of them, but not as many as you think, because it goes right down back. Oh man, guys that design plastic pieces for dashboards and special screws and nuts and fasteners, and all this stuff is all touched by millions and millions of people. And so goes the economy as our car economy goes. And they took our economy, our automotive economy, and stabbed it in the heart, as you will. And we're just a mess. We're just a mess. People they're not buying cars because they don't want to pay too much for them if they can help it. But the people that are stuck buying a car are paying too much for them. Used cars, the only thing left out there on the used car lot is, please stay away from used cars right now. I mean, we inspect cars at my shop, Unlimited Service Automotive, Ridge and Burnham and Lansing. We inspect cars before people buy them for absolutely free. We haven't charged in 40 years. I've never charged a single person to look at a car before they bought it. After you buy it, if I have to do computer work and stuff, well, then you're going to get charged for that diagnosis. But if you want it diagnosed before you buy it and see what I can find before you buy it, you need to get it over to me, because it's no charge. And please, right now, oh my God, people are buying cars, Eric, that are just they're not safe, they're not drivable. But that's all that's left. They're patching them together. They're buying heaps. 300,000 miles and slapping tires on it and selling it as a good used car. You know, it's tired. 300,000 miles is tired. A lot of cars, that's way too much.